Let's have a conversation about leadership. We're all here about leadership. My programs are called Embodied Leadership. So let's begin that inquiry. And let me begin by saying, leadership in English comes from the Middle English word lethen. And lethen means to make something happen. So it probably started with people really got around mostly with horses, and you have to lead a horse. So right away, we can start with leaders make things happen. And that piece alone produces in us the reflection and contemplation of what is it that I want to make happen. And that's a deep question. And that's a question that requires a lot of reflection and it really going inside ourselves. It doesn't mean we leave others, but really going inside of ourselves and asking, what matters to me? What do I care about? What is a way in which my skills and my talents are being drawn to make a contribution into the world, and so forth. So to make happen. So we could say, arguably, during this whole time, that leaders motivate and mobilize others to an observable goal. Leaders mobilize and motivate others to an observable goal. And that goal, again, circles back to this notion, what do I want to lead? What actions do we want to take? What do we want to make happen? So we want to keep putting that really to the foreground because that is a commitment that we will all come to be making during this time. Also, there are people in this audience that lead companies. There are people in this audience that might lead divisions or lead teams. And also there are people here that maybe you lead a PTA, or maybe you head your block, or maybe you're leading your family and your children. And maybe you're also here because you're really looking at a time now that it's important for you to lead your own life so that when you go to the next leadership role or the leadership role after that, that you are more fully prepared. So what I'm saying here is that we're really building a leadership culture. And that goes at a little bit of going upstream against when we think of leaderships. Maybe it's the white guy on the white horse, and the horse is going up and he's going, come on, charge, or there's always this hierarchy of leadership. And I would arguably say that I think we're coming to the end of that chapter. And really what we want to do is to build a leadership culture. Now, in my work with you, there's going to be 3 different buckets that we're going to be looking at. Number 1 is, do you have the commitment and intelligence to be a leader? And I'm going to say that's in place for all of you. I'm going to say that's in place for all of you just by how this is being advertised, where you're coming from, and your interest. And number 2 is a leader has to be at least competent, if not super competent or not expert or virtuosity or even a master, but at least competent in their sector. Is that financial strategy? Is that consulting? Is that coaching? Is that medicine? Is that education? Whatever domain it is, you come in with those competencies already. Number 3 is that as a leader, there's a certain self. There's a certain self that you have to be. So in my work, I'm not going to help you necessarily build your IQ. I will help you build your commitment to what you're doing, but you come in with that sense of inner commitment to something. I won't necessarily be able to help you build more competency in your vector, but what I will do is help you build the self that you are. And what do we mean by the self? We mean those not just the skills that you can do, or actually the actions that you can take, but actually who are you being? Who is the human being that you are? Are you able to build trust with others? Are you accountable for your actions? Do you hold integrity as a powerful virtue? Do you show that there's a sense of honor or dignity that you can hold others in? Do you embody your commitments? And so forth. That list of values goes way back in human history, way back, let's say, in the Abhidharma, which is the Buddhist book of psychology, talks about those things. You read the Bhagavad Gita, and they say, who's a leader? And these two characters are in that story out of Hindu philosophy. Same ones come up over and over and over again. I would make the claim that those can be trained, and those can be embodied, and those can be cultivated inside of yourself in such of a way that a person would take the next step forward in saying, I want to hear more about what you're saying and where you're going and how you're getting there. In other words, I'm opening to follow your lead or be alongside of you and guide you in that particular way. Now, the other part of this, and this part of the story really goes at cross current to our conventional thinking, and that's this, that the body and the self are intimately intertwined together. The body and the self are intimately intertwined together. So one very direct and immediate way of being able to cultivate certain kind of character traits and certain kind of virtues is by working through the body. And by doing that, what we're able to do is not just have understanding of these things and an intellectual grasp of them as a concept, but we are those things. We are integrous, we are accountable, we are in dignity, we are in commitment. It's just not a bumper sticker that you have. It's actually who you're being. And this is the crucial piece of being embodied leadership. In other words, what you're saying is in harmony with your actions, your mood and emotions, what you do and how you build your attention. So in conclusion here, what we're saying is that there's three buckets about leadership. Are you smart enough? Are you committed enough to take on this role? Yes. Do you have at least competency in a certain domain, certain vector of business, education, healthcare, all the range, government? Number three, who are you as a self? And are you a self that people will want to gather themselves and be led by, or to join you, or to lend their support to you? And that leadership really is, you know, if we go back to the original Middle English, "Lethen," to make something happen. And we're going to be looking at what do you want to make happen and who do you have to be to make that happen. So our next conversation will be about this self and body being together.